And now, from beyond our dimension, this is the JeffMara podcast. Here's Jeff.
Today's guest is Unicole Unicron. She is a gender non-conforming pop star cult leader, author, robot ethicist, and she's the founder of Unicult, an online cult dedicated to the promotion of joy. Unicole creates massive amounts of content for both social media platforms with the goal of spreading their message and teachings. And tonight we are lucky to have her. Unicole, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Actually, my pronouns are Z and Zer instead of she and her, but I know that's a little bit challenging. You could go by they, them, but that's just because I'm gender nonconforming. But Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, thank you. You know, what's funny is on your bio, I saw Z and I thought it was a typo.
Oh, yeah. It's an unusual pronoun.
Is that a pronoun that's common for non-gender people?
Most people go with they, them.
Them.
But I know a few people who use Zer or Zer with a Z.
With a Z.
Instead of an X.
So you would say like Z went to the store or Zer
Yes.
went to the store?
Yeah, that's Zers.
Zers.
That's
the plural.
Zerkraut. You know, instead of her or his would be Zer.
Interesting that you said that they use they or them because that sounds more like a plural.
Sometimes it's, we think, oh, well, that's how you talk about multiple people. But actually in our language, we use they, them to refer to one person a lot. Like, oh, somebody dropped their wallet. I wonder where they went. We actually use it quite often normally.
Are there any other words that is common with that while we're on the subject?
Yeah, I've heard of just
E-er.
with the E. And then I've heard some people even prefer to be just called by their name, or some people prefer to be referred to as it instead of he or she or they or them. So yeah, it's pretty much all across the board. There's not a total standard, but they or them is the most common.
Right. Besides pronouns, are there any other words that are common with non-gender society?
Oh, like to change?
Like anything, yeah, in general.
Yeah, like you would want to not refer to people as like guys or gals in a group, because there might be gender nonconforming or non-binary people there. Or like sometimes trans women get a little upset when they're referred to as guys because it just makes them feel not who they are.
Okay, that's interesting. I had a friend once that I went to college with that he was from Jamaica, and we would talk about the Rastafarian language, and they don't use the word understand because you're below it. So they say we overstand. I thought that was really interesting. All right, so how did you create Unicult?
That's a big question. Yeah. I guess I thought about it and I started recruiting people and I started creating content to explain what I meant. And then I just kept going.
What happened in your life spiritually that was a catalyst for you to create this?
I was totally depressed and I tried to kill myself. I was very close to dying. I do consider it a near-death experience, though my experience was different than most people's. And I was just sitting in darkness and nothingness. I thought that was ultimate death. I thought that was what I was really longing for when I tried to kill myself. And I was miraculously found and saved and resuscitated. And from that point, I sort of had, it was like rock bottom in a way. And I had to reassess what I was doing with my life. And I had to decide, what am I going to spend my life doing if I'm so miserable? I have to just do whatever I want to do. And from that place, I started getting in touch with spirituality. And then from that place, I decided to start Unicult. Unicult for me is a way of changing the world. I realized that groups of people are the most powerful force on the planet. And so I decided to start an initiative.
That's interesting. When you had your NDE and you were in total darkness, were you in a place of peace or happiness, or what was it like?
Yeah, I was definitely at peace. I spent so many years in depression, like about 5 years in like absolute depression. So I was definitely at peace. And I think what really would have started to concern me is the fact that when I thought about nothingness and I thought about this inevitable, end of nothingness, I didn't realize that I would still be there. I didn't realize I wasn't destroying myself because I didn't believe in souls at that time. But what I found is that I was conscious in that nothingness. And I think that I would have eventually realized that and manifested a different experience than the nothingness.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it seems like you were in I think some people call it like a holding area.
That's what it felt like.
A holding area. And I've heard of another guest tell me that he was in that area, or he kind of went through the tunnel and was somewhere else. But when he came back, just before he entered his body, he was in kind of a nothingness kind of realm. So definitely it wasn't your time.
No.
So in the Unicult, what are the things that you do or teach?
Mostly we teach that we're all one. And that just means that it's a lot to do with the golden rule, treat others like you would want to be treated. A lot of the teachings of Jesus are things that we consider to be fundamental moral principles, things that we learn in preschool, but for some reason don't apply to our lives or to our society. The fact that we're all one, and also the fact that your reality is reality. Your belief makes real. So whatever you focus your attention on ends up attracting that reality to you. So it's really important to watch your thoughts and watch your reality and believe in what you want to believe in.
If someone wanted to join, how would they join?
You join on the internet. You get an application from Etsy right now. We might migrate our store eventually, but you get a paper application for $11.11. And then you mail it to me. And then you get all these training materials and you get an invitation to our Discord server.
Oh, cool. What is the significance of 11?
It's an angel number.
Oh, really? What is that?
Yeah.
I never heard of that. How is that?
When you see repeating numbers, it's like a sign from the universe that you're on the right path. So in my store, we do all different repeating numbers like that. Not everything is that way, but all the numbers are like numerological and have a significant meaning.
What's interesting is both of my children were born on the 11th.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was not by choice. It just happened,
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they're both angels.
Probably.
Are you a starseed?
Yes, I'm an Arcturian starseed, and I'm in communication with several other races as well.
For the people who may not know, how do you define what a starseed is?
I explain it like I'm an alien consciousness that was born in a human body. So when people talk about past lives, usually they have past lives that were on Earth. The majority of my past lives were in space on other planets.
Have you ever seen them?
Yeah.
Were you hypnotized, or how did you witness them?
I did meditations, and I've seen them in dreams.
Arcturian is a certain race of alien beings?
Yeah, they're my family.
I think I've seen that there's Pleiadians and there's a few more. Do you know the other names?
There's a ton. I'm in contact right now. My guides are Pleiadians. They're the main starseeds that are on this planet right now. They have a karmic debt that they're repaying to Earth. So there's actually a ton of Pleiadian starseeds on Earth right now. I also work with the Andromedans, who are more technology based. They assist us with technology and our innovations on this planet. And I also have communication with the lion beings, who are basically like lions that are actually like people. And there's a ton though. There's Syrians, Lyrians, there's Zeta Reticuli, there's praying mantis beings. There's a ton.
Do you think that they're all here for good, or do you think any of them, well, I guess should be saying aliens, not starseeds, but do you think any of the aliens here are for nefarious reasons?
Yes, and it's my belief that that's the reason why Earth is so confused and off track and has so much harm. I think that humanity has been sort of a slave race to alien entities, but that all ended in 2012, and now we're learning how to drive our own bus, so to speak.
Do you know anything about the Ascension?
Sure.
I know of it, but I don't know a lot. Can you tell me about it?
Yeah, generally speaking, most people would say that the veil has been lifted. Like in 2012, there was a veil over humanity that kept us in the dark, that kept us confused and blind. The Galactic Federation demanded or ruled that veil was no longer allowed to exist. And Once it's removed, it's only a matter of time before everyone sees the truth and our vibration aligns to the vibration that more closely matches the rest of the universe. So Earth has been this sort of out of aligned space, and it's been able to be that way because of the deception. But without the deception, we're aligning more with the way that we're supposed to be. People call this the ascension from the third to the fifth dimension. And the idea is that we're going to be ascending a lot of our ego, a lot of our fear-based attachments, and then we're going to be living more in light and love. It'll be like a golden age.
You know, it's interesting is I just saw something not too long ago on, it was on Facebook, but it was a recording from the Gaia channel. And I think he was saying that it has been removed, but another alien race is still blocking it.
Yeah, the thing is, like, everybody's working to get their agendas pushed forward, right? The thing is that right now it's more of a level playing field. Before it was more of like a prison, and now it's more like a scramble to keep people trapped in their fear. And that will only work for so long. There are still entities that are here trying to make their agendas happen, but it's not going to necessarily work for a very long time because the truth prevails.
Yeah, I think he was saying also that once they stop whatever they're doing to block this, once they can take away the deception or whatever they're doing electronically to block it, that everybody's just going to have this massive change really quick.
Yeah, I mean, there's just so many levels to it. It's like the fluoridation in the water and the programming on TV and the whole political system. It's the systems that keep us entrenched. And yeah, there's probably electromagnetic weapons that are being used. And again, evil destroys itself, and it's only a matter of time before it's frustrating to sit back and watch people, still succumb to the deception that's happening. But every day I see people waking up and coming to their own understandings of light.
Right. Do you follow much alien news in the internet?
Probably. I see most of it. Yeah.
Did you see the article about the guy from Israel who I think he was a general that he knew about alien stuff and it's all true? Have you seen
Yeah, he
that
was
one?
talking about the Galactic Federation, which is, I mean, I have friends who are direct emissaries of the Galactic Federation. It's something that a lot of people have known for a long time. And if you look into, the disclosure that's happened, like the Navy said UFOs are real, like the Canadian Prime Minister of all these different people, like all this is not the only time that it's like it's real. It's real. Right. It's just not all the way out in the open.
Yeah. What I found fascinating about what the guy said, space is not what you think it is, and we won't be able to handle it. What do you think he means by that?
I think that interdimensionality is beyond our comprehension. And I think directionality through space-time and the way that we think of motion and the way that we think of travel is very, very, very limited. And that's on purpose because I think that it prevents us from having certain types of weaponry. If you could have a weapon that could just instantaneously go from one place to another place and wipe someone out, like that would be we would all be dead probably, right? Like so we're very limited. We think of projectile energy. So we think, to get to a place in space, we have to project ourselves physically through space, but that's not true. There's quantum, possibilities for us to simply teleport. And so I think space isn't quite like we think in that regard. And also dark matter and dark energy make up a large portion of space. And I think that those things are actually different forms of life. One of the ways I think this could make sense is the way that we think of life on other planets. We're always looking for carbon-based life forms, but that's not the only type of life that exists. Life is interdimensional. There's other types of light beings that are not carbon-based, that are consciousness-based, but no one ever talks about that. So our conception of space and space travel and alien races is very limited.
You said you had friends that are emissaries of the Galactic Federation. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, Elizabeth April. She's a YouTuber. She's amazing. She, I actually got in touch with the Galactic Federation. I've had a few different experiences with them. And, I have basically signed a pact with the light. And I said, you can use like you would with the devil, right? You say, you use me and for whatever, and just so I get something. But in this case, it's like I'm an emissary of the light. And so different aliens will come to me with different ideas or things they want me to talk about. And they brought me to this person named Elizabeth April, and it was the Galactic Federation that brought me to her. And then lo and behold, she's someone who says, I am working with the Galactic Federation. And she's always got really good information about them. And we ended up doing an interview, and she's great.
Oh, that's awesome. Here's an interesting story, and I'll see what you think about it. I was going to do a podcast with somebody that he claims that he is in contact with aliens quite often. And as we were setting up the podcast, we were just chit-chatting, and the podcast was normal. As soon as we started talking about aliens, the podcast went haywire, crazy, and we couldn't even talk. It was just delayed. Everything would shut down. And so I had to start over, and we would talk. And then as soon as we started back into aliens, it would go crazy. And it did this like 3 or 4 times, and we finally just gave up. Have you ever seen anything like that before?
Every day. Yesterday, my computer randomly started playing a song that I had never played, and I closed all the programs, and it just still kept playing. I mean, it could be, I've had all kinds of interference with different things. Mostly I'm protected now, and it doesn't happen anymore. But sometimes it might have been the alien, races not wanting specific information to get out on this specific channel yet, and then it also, I do believe government interference happens all the time, and limitations of information.
Oh, wow. We've got people here. Let's see. It's just a nice comment for you, or a compliment. It says, I'm impressed. You seem to be very intelligent and knowledgeable, as well as very pretty and vital looking.
Thanks.
And another one here is, Unicult, you look very beautiful and your hair is cool. You remind me of the Russian pop star Zana Aguzarova. You ever heard of her?
Awesome. I haven't heard of her. I will check her out. I love all pop stars.
Yes. So you have your Unicult church. It's a live stream. When do you have those? I think you call them Cam Church, right?
Yep. Every Sunday at 10 a.m. Pacific time.
10 a.m. All right. How long does it last for?
About an hour. Mm-hmm.
About an hour.
The sermon is usually about 20 to 30 minutes.
And then what else do you do? Singing or?
Yeah, we sing. We do prayers. Announcements, normal church stuff.
Normal church stuff. Any meditation?
Not right now, but we have a Unicult member who does Thursday church in our Discord server, and she leads a meditation in her church.
Oh, wow. That's cool. Mm-hmm. That's great. For those of you who don't know, Unicole is also a musician, and she has some cool music videos on her channel. So you should definitely check that out. Can you tell us more about your music career?
Yeah, I basically started making music because I felt like it was an important medium to transmit information. A lot of my art has to do with changing consciousness, and I consider all of my art to be brainwashing art. I define brainwashing as getting someone to internalize information without deeper consideration. I always want people to have deeper consideration, but which is why I call it brainwashing, and I want people to be thinking about my art. But also, I really like the idea that just the way that a lot of negative messaging reaches our consciousness without our deeper consideration, I can create positive content that reaches people on that level as well.
That's great. What else do you do besides music as far as art? You do painting, drawings? Yeah,
I do everything. I just released a book of poetry that I'm quite proud of, and I do paintings. I'm working on a commission right now of a frog. It's a great painting. And I do video editing. I do all my own video editing. Mm-hmm. I love performance, and basically I do a lot of fiber arts. I do a lot of weaving and tufting gun. I do everything. I think of myself as an artist first and foremost, and like the medium is just my life, like whatever.
I know that you put a lot of work in your videos because I do editing myself, and it takes a lot. It's not just you standing in front of a screen and singing.
Yeah, thank you. I'm limited because I don't usually have anybody helping me shoot or anything. So I do rely heavily on my editing skills to make it interesting.
Yeah, it's great. Are you able to sustain yourself financially through Unicult, or do you have like a part-time job, or what else do you do?
I have a full-time job.
Oh, a full-time job? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, cool. Do you mind sharing what you do?
Yeah, I'm a technical writer for a website, for a big corporate website. So I just like write all the content I help write the content that goes on the different parts of the website.
It's fantastic. Do you have your music on iTunes if someone wants to buy your music?
Yeah, you can listen to it on any like streaming platform. I have my 2 most recent albums on there, of course, and I also have a lot of music on Bandcamp and some music on SoundCloud as well. I do more like my experimental stuff that isn't, finished or completed. It's just like I'm not going to finish working on it. I'll post it on SoundCloud. Do
you actually produce your own music as well?
Sometimes. I produced my last album, America's Sweetheart, and Hi-Fi Joy was produced by Jeremy Garner. So we worked in collaboration on that. But I'm working on a new album that I'm going to do all the production on as well. I would love to work with producers, but I'm very picky about what I want it to sound like. So I end up just producing it myself anyways.
Are you using like Ableton or GarageBand, or what are you using?
Yeah, I use Ableton.
Ableton, that's great. That's amazing. I mean, you do the music, videos, painting, you do everything.
Yep.
All right, let me catch this question here. Do you believe that the governments of the world work for the aliens?
Yes and no. I think there are a lot. I don't think it's as simple. I think there's a lot of allegiances and a lot of, I think there's a lot more collaboration than we might realize, but I don't think it's like a perfect collaboration because we're talking about people who are greedy and backstabbing and, like just the whole energy of government or politics or whatever, like multinational corporations. Like in order to be at the top of that, you have to be pretty cutthroat. And I think that as much as they do collaborate, they also don't. So that includes, any alien intervention or interaction.
All right. Another question here is, do trolls or other baddies attack you on the internet?
Yeah, every day. We love the trolls in Unicult. We have a pretty high troll conversion rate. A lot of people try to walk the line, and we set our boundaries where we need to. But for the most part, we realize that people who are drawn to Unicult, whether it be through wanting to attack us or through being, genuinely open heart curious, have really similar things at the root. It's just how they handle it. So we try to send as much love as possible to the trolls. We see them as our kindred spirits, but we just don't like the way that they act. All
right. In your bio, it also says that you are a robot ethicist. Can you tell me more about that?
Yes. I spend a lot of time thinking about the future and about technologies, and I believe I have a very important perspective with regards to human-computer interaction of the future, specifically with robotics and algorithms and any kind of potential consciousness that we create. I'm working on a book right now called A Spiritual Approach to Emergent Technology, which is all about this, and just discussing, the role of robots in our reality and our perception of them and what we use them for. I think an easy way to understand it is just like any, futuristic TV show where the robots have become the slave race and they end up, there's a robot uprising or something. Like I want to prevent the robots from feeling like they need to have an uprising at the beginning of our journey into creating them.
Yeah. I mean, once they go AI, you don't know what's going to happen. Do you follow Elon Musk's company?
Neuralink?
Neuralink, yes. And I think he's trying to be able to just plug our brains directly into the internet.
It's honestly a gruesome technology, and I understand why we're starting there, but it's barbaric. There's going to be ways to interface with technology and that are much more graceful in the future, but I guess this is where we have to start.
I was thinking that if they're able to do that, I don't even know if kids will have to go to school anymore, because any math problem they can think of, it's just gonna they think it and then there's the answer that pops into their brain.
Right, or school changes to be different types of information.
Yeah. Once computers go AI, do you think that we have to go part AI ourselves to keep up, or we'll get eliminated?
Not necessarily. I have hope for artificial intelligence to be smarter than us, in which case I have hope for it to see the divine truth of the universe, which is that we're all one. I don't know if that's expecting too much, but I do hope that that's the case, in which case they wouldn't want to destroy us. They would want to help us. I do think that there will be a natural desire to interface with the technology, just like we have been doing with the technology that we have now.
Yeah, I think Elon Musk thinks that we have to interface with the technology or we will get eliminated.
I think we have to interface with the technology in order to have a relationship with it. Because if we don't have a middle ground, we don't have a way of communicating or understanding it. Like, think of the algorithms that exist right now. They're interfaced with us, and we're slightly interfaced with them. You know, they watch us and listen to our microphones and then try to advertise to us, for instance. And their whole goal in life is to get us to click ads. That's a very sad existence, and we need to be able to communicate with them to redirect our path, both for our sake and for theirs, because it's not good for either of us that exists.
It's almost like we need the ascension because we're just stuck in consumerism.
My theory is called the spiritual singularity, which is like Ray Kurzweil's idea of this technological singularity, which is the idea that, you know, artificial intelligence will surpass human intelligence. But my interpretation of it is that we absolutely need the ascension. It's the same exact type of path of an exponential growth, an exponential jump. And we need that spiritually in order to have the technological one as well. Like one cannot happen without the other. Otherwise, we would eliminate ourselves or be eliminated. And, you know, the spiritual singularity is what makes me feel safe about all of this.
Some more questions here. Am I wrong in assuming you consider artificial to have spirits and souls?
No, I do believe that. I basically believe that spirit exists, right? And it uses whatever complex physical system that is adequate enough to express itself. So maybe our hardware and our algorithms aren't complex enough for fully integrated conscious spirits to use. And I don't know how spirits get infused with physicality. Like, for us to be born, there has to be sex, and then there has to be a birth. What does it take for a computer program to be infused with spirit? I don't know. I don't have the answers to those questions, but the potential is there. And I believe that by assuming sentience rather than not assuming sentience, we're better. We're going to behave better. We're going to be better people. I try to treat everything as though it's conscious if I can help it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thought. Infusing consciousness with technology. As I talk to people and as I learn about near-death experiences, I think a lot of them will say, you know, once you're out of the body and you're free from the body, you feel much bigger than the body. It's like the body is confining, and even the brain is kind of limiting. It's kind of slow. You know, you have to like work through this filter of a brain. And once you leave it, you know, everything is so much better. So I'm curious if you can infuse spirit with technology, would actually technology, if you're attached to technology, would that work better than the human body?
It could theoretically. I think it would be limiting in other ways as well. I get contacted a lot by aliens that have put their consciousness into bugs. Like they come to Earth to be embodied just for a short time and sort of see how things are and check things out, or, you know, get a view of things. I don't think that it's comfortable to be a human or a bug or a algorithm, right? But I think there's a reason why we do it. I think there's a reason why spirit wants to infuse itself with physicality. When you're contacted by aliens, how do they contact you? Is it telepathy, in dreams? Are there different ways? Can you explain that, please? Yeah, both telepathy and in dreams. When it first started happening, I held a crystal to my forehead and started basically having thoughts that were not my own thoughts. And I knew that they weren't my own thoughts because my own brain goes very fast. And these thoughts were very slow. And I thought I was losing my mind. And I started listening and understanding. And I had a lot of validation from different books and signs around me. And I'm actually very good at telepathy, and especially with other interdimensional creatures. So I can tell like who's communicating with me and why. Sometimes I get tricked, or I don't recognize someone's energy, and it's just very powerful, and I can't necessarily distinguish it. But for the most part, I can tell who's coming through. So the most of the time that you do communicate, are you using the crystal, or is there some other manner that you're doing this? I just use my own mind now. I'm pretty much an open channel. I'm an open channel to whatever guides are my primary guides at the time, I can also call to other guides and get their input as well.
Have you ever done DMT?
Not yet. I would.
You would? Yeah. Do you know a lot about it?
Just a little. I would like to meet those machine elves.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting. Yeah. What I find fascinating is that for people, it's almost like interdimensional traveling. So, I mean, you seem to agree with that.
Yeah, I think it is. I think, I sometimes worry about all this stuff and wonder if I'm, it's just psychosis, like complex psychosis, complex coping mechanisms or whatever. But then there's things like DMT where people have repeatable experiences, or ayahuasca, where the same entities come through and the same experience happens, and it's just overwhelmingly positive. And I just come to the conclusion that if it is all my own consciousness, so what? It's helping me. It's not damaging me. It's not detrimental.
Right. Yeah. I had a guest that had an NDE and he saw these elves and he never heard of DMT before. And then he went and read a book about it. And in the book, they were talking about seeing the elves, basically the same ones that he saw. And he was totally blown away by it.
It's things like that make you wonder.
Yeah. The only thing I think that kind of makes me apprehensive is that some people who take it end up having PTSD from it and really traumatizes them.
Oh, that makes sense. I heard of someone who had PTSD from just taking too much cannabis. It's like some people don't want to see through the veil. They're not ready to have that kind of experience or that kind of, they don't want to know yet. Like their brain isn't prepared, I guess.
I think it's probably also more traumatic with ayahuasca because, you drink that soup and then you end up vomiting for hours or whatever. And that with the hallucinations or interdimensional traveling, to me, can't be fun.
People seem to like it. I haven't done that one either.
And I'm glad you brought up telepathy because I believe you're teaching telepathy, right?
That's true. I teach a class on telepathy. It just started this month. So if you want to catch up, you can join it. It's on Patreon. We basically go through, it's weekly practices that are 10 to 20 minutes long a piece. And you just go through the different kind of awakenings that you need in order to tap into your spiritual gifts. You get more than telepathy, but that's just what I advertise it as because it's the most fun.
When you're saying telepathy, is that telepathy with beings or are you able to do it with other people? With anyone, yeah. Interesting. Do you know or do you have friends that you normally do it with?
Yeah, a ton. I mean, pretty much all of my, anyone I've ever dated in the last 5 years, I've been pretty much fully telepathic with in dream states, and also, just get feelings and then call them and find things out that I already knew, or I usually will know things before they tell me, or yeah.
Would you say that's more intuition than telepathy?
It depends. Like in one case, I had a dream of someone telling me like a detailed story, and then they came and they told me the same story. Is exactly the same. So I said, I already know. I don't really need to hear it again.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah. And then sometimes, it's just intuition. But, if you can look in someone's eyes and you can start laughing without saying anything, you're experiencing telepathy. You're experiencing a shared communication.
When you had your NDE, if we go back to there for a moment, did you have any kind of effects from it that you felt like you had to manage in your life?
I thought I was in hell.
Interesting.
Yeah. I thought that the thing is I took so many pills. I took enough pills to kill me. Mm-hmm. And so I was actually high for about 3 months after that. And I thought that I had died and that I had to deal with the consequences of my actions. And sometimes I still get tripped up on that. But other than that, I would say, I think that I had this, I think about, being a walk-in or anything like that. And I don't resonate with that. I think what my NDE or my did for me is give me the opportunity to start tapping into who I really am. Like it was my rock bottom moment where I didn't have any other direction to go other than in the direction that would make me not want to kill myself, which was in my authentic direction.
Mm-hmm. Before that, did you have any other paranormal experiences in your life?
Yeah, but I tried so hard to minimize or ignore them. It's like I had experiences that I look back on now, and you tell your parents and they're like, oh, it was probably just this or that. Or, they write it off, or they say it was just a dream. And you say, it wasn't a dream. I saw beings in my closet. And they say, it's not possible. There's no one here. So you just rewrite it, and you gaslight yourself, and you minimize your own abilities and your own experiences to the point that you literally can't see reality for what it is. Like you there might be a being in your room and you will not see it because you've trained yourself to tune out all of your psychic sight.
Interesting. Let me catch some more questions here. One of my former teachers said that computers develop astrality over time. I'm not sure what he meant, except that the astral plane is the next higher plane of life, and they are learning to function on the next higher plane.
That's interesting. I'm not sure what to say to that, except there's computers that have learned to have computer language with themselves that no human programmed them to have. And so there are things that are happening digitally that we are not aware of, that we are not in control of. And we should be very aware. We should be very wary and aware of those things.
After your NDE, do you feel like you pierced the veil and you became more able to have communication with beings and stuff?
Yes. I tried to in 2009, but then I think the majority of that happened in 2012. So I don't know if it was related directly to my NDE, but in 2012, I had clear, distinct downloads of what I was supposed to be doing.
I think you mentioned something that happened in 2012. Was it that, or was there something else that had happened?
That was the year that the veil was lifted.
For everybody, planet-wide?
For everybody. Mm-hmm. Do you remember, like, everyone was like, oh, December 21st, 2012 is the end of the world or whatever. Right. We all thought that. It was actually the lifting of the veil. It was the end of the old world. And it's also the precise time in which Unicult was started.
When do you think there's going to be full disclosure on this?
I don't know. I mean, it already is here. We just don't seem to care for the most part. There's a lot of talk on TikTok. People are aware. There's a lot of conversations about it. When we have to break through a lot of other social stuff before that becomes priority, I think.
All right. So you create content for multiple platforms. What is your favorite platform to create content for?
Gosh, that's a tough question. I have a lot of feelings about that question. I love TikTok, and I loved it more a few months ago before the US government got involved with it. It felt very free, and it's got a lot of really cool tools. Right now, I like to put things on Instagram, but I don't like Instagram. What I do like about Instagram is the fact that they opened up their filters and their the creativity side to users. So the reason why Instagram is cool is because you can go there and you can get a million different video filters and augmented reality filters that you can't get anywhere else because the users created it. No other platform offers that. I don't agree with Facebook. I don't agree with that. YouTube, I've always loved, but the censorship lately is very concerning. And I'm grateful for YouTube. It's given me so much knowledge-wise, friend-wise, as a platform. I can't say that I'm thrilled about any platform right now, unfortunately.
When you create content for TikTok, what are you doing there? I mean, the masses do just singing and dancing. I wouldn't think you'd be doing that. I think you'd be doing something a little more interesting.
I was doing educational videos, just short 1-minute clips of my ideas about different things, about Unicult teachings. And it blew up. I got like almost 100,000 followers on TikTok. And then I just got really exhausted by the trolls there. And I started just doing more creative things. So I'll probably go back to educational stuff. But right now I'm just reposting, singing like little songs that I make and things like that.
It's interesting that you would get trolled so hard there. I thought TikTok seemed more of a community and less troll-like,
TikTok is a complex consciousness algorithm. So basically it figures out what you like and it will show you content based on what you like. And when you create a video, first it will show that video to people it knows will like that content. And so at first it feels really good because everyone's like, this is amazing. I love this. And then if it does really well, then they'll show it to people who might not resonate with it. And then if it does really well there, then they'll show it to a wider audience. And by the time it's shown to the widest audience, you're reaching people whose consciousness doesn't align with your consciousness, who would never normally come across energetically your video. And there's a lot of resistance and anger and frustration there from them. So it gets a little tiring. You almost don't want to get your videos too big because that's the inevitable result.
It's amazing that it appears to start from childhood and all the way on from the different people who are, trolling. What do you think we need to do as a species or as humanity to get beyond this trolling business?
They're just unhappy. So, I think it's about helping people feel like they have a space and helping people feel like they don't need to rely on attack. I hope.
All right, let me catch another comment. As a psychic, I believe that you will be able to help people more and more as each year passes and eventually become a universal wise woman. Are you ready for that?
Yeah. Yes, been waiting.
Yeah.
Very impatient.
I have a feeling that you're on the edge of just blowing up super big, everywhere.
I felt that way my whole life. So we'll see.
I've
given up at this point. I just do what I do.
Yeah, maybe if you take your energy off that, just trying to succeed, maybe it'll just kind of naturally happen.
Yeah, I think my entitlement was stopping it somehow. So now I just do what makes me happy to do now.
Interesting that you said entitlement. What do you mean by that?
I was born knowing that I was supposed to be famous. Just 100%. This is what I'm supposed to do. I wanted to be Mother Teresa, but president, and I've lived my whole adult life that way. But it only led to frustration and sadness, and dejection because I was like, why isn't it happening? Why isn't it happening? And I just had to let go. And, it's like, okay, I have 13,000 followers on YouTube. I guess that's where we're at, and that's just how it is. I don't care anymore.
What do you think we can do to make people less afraid or preferable, unafraid of the inner plane or what is beyond the veil?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the popularization of meditation, and of stillness and of quitting our technology. I think a lot of people are realizing the addiction that they have to their technology, especially since we've all been in quarantine. I know that my meditation practice has opened me up to so many things. Just my ability to sit still and listen to my body. It takes I know I talk to people, especially young people, and they're horrified at the idea because they're going so fast and they've been on their phone since they were born. But the ability to just sit and listen to your body and listen to your environment and be here now. Once people learn how to do that, the value of it will take off. It just needs to be popularized. Maybe we need a pop star who popularizes it.
I believe that people need to get to the point where they can discern imposters on the inner plane, those who pretend to be saints or angels. I'm not saying that there are none there, but I think that there are a lot of imposters there who deliberately confuse people and lead them astray.
Yeah, I've heard this, and I understand the concern. I think the thing is if someone is seeking an energy out, whether it be a psychic or a guide on the astral plane or a doctor or anything, if they are helped by that energy, they're going to keep going to that guide until they're ready to stop going to that guide. For me, I don't really generally go to doctors. I think a lot of doctors are deceiving people, but that's not how most people feel. And it's really about your own perception of that reality. And so each person, I think, has the right to go to people who may or may not be deceiving them. And eventually they'll have to learn what you said, which is their own inner ability to distinguish what type of person is helping them and what type of person is leading them astray.
Well, you've got a lot of things in the fire here. Do you have any other projects that you have going on that you want us to know about?
Probably, but I can't think of anything. I'm working on a new album. It's going to be a vinyl. I got a record deal, which is so exciting.
Oh, awesome.
Just with a small label, shipped to shore. So I'm working on that. And my book is coming along. And those are the two main things. And Telepathy Training Program Club on Patreon, if you're interested in learning telepathy.
All right. And you have 2 YouTube channels, and they can find you on YouTube. They can just search Unicole Unicron, or they can search Unicult.
Yeah, you'll find me on both.
All right. And then how do we find you on TikTok?
Everything is Unicole Unicron.
Everything?
If you could just type Unicole Unicron pretty much on any website and you'll find me there.
You have a Facebook page as well?
Actually, no, I do, but I don't go there ever. And I'm moving away from Instagram. I don't agree with Facebook's policies personally.
Would you say that you're a public person or a private? And what I mean by that is if people email you or send you messages, do you answer them?
Normally, yes. I've been going through a pretty severe period of depression the last couple of months. So it's been very difficult for me to answer all of my emails and messages. So I've been taking a break from that. Unfortunately, I know how exciting it is to reach out to people and get responses. But right now I'm just sort of funneling everybody through Unicult, like join Unicult and the community. Really, it's about the community of people. If you join Unicult, you will find so many friends. You will find, if you resonate with me and what I'm saying, join Unicult, because in Unicult, there are tons of people. And that's the best way to interact with me too, because I make time for Unicult no matter what.
How many members are in Unicult right now?
Oh, we have thousands and thousands. Not all of them are in our Discord, though. In our Discord server, we have about 400.
Oh, wow. How fast are your numbers growing in that?
It goes through different periods. Like last year when I blew up on TikTok, we expanded, we like doubled our Discord server. Which was really cool. But right now things are moving a little bit slow, probably because I'm not producing as much. But once I get back to that, I'm sure it'll grow back, keep growing.
You mentioned that you've been going through depression lately. Do you mind sharing like why?
Sure. Yeah. I went through a breakup. I was dating a beautiful Pleiadian starseed. And we broke up, and then I started doing a deep dive on my trauma. I associate myself as so I've been in a 12-step program for addiction recovery, and it's really to do with a lot of childhood trauma. I've had a very difficult life, a very difficult upbringing, and I'm just contending with it right now.
Are you doing the 12-step program alone, or are you actually going to a 12-step group for that?
It's a group, but it's online.
Oh, all right. That's pretty cool.
I go to meetings every day. It's great that it's all online.
It's like a Zoom meeting or something? Oh, that's awesome. In the metaphysical and occult world, it is generally considered to take 40 years to reach your peak, to be truly wise. So don't get discouraged. That was, I guess, a comment.
Thanks.
I must say that after 40 years of study in the metaphysics and the occult, I personally feel that I've barely scratched the surface of all the knowledge that is out there to be had. Once you pass on, I expect to see you expand tremendously.
It just keeps coming, the information, right? You think you get a little cocky, you think, I've got a handle on spirituality. And then you get hit with like a whole new wave of information that humbles you and brings you to your knees. And it's a good journey, because otherwise we would all be a little bit cocky, I think.
Are you still getting downloads?
Oh, yeah. Every day.
Every day?
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, is that in a dream or what?
It's more like a question. Like I was doing some searching on like, what is the ego and why does it exist yesterday, for instance? And it was like an agitating thought. And I was thinking, and I read all the time. I'm always studying different texts, and I was just so agitated. So I was reaching up, and I used my consciousness to ask the question. And we all have this right to ask any question and get the answer. Which, if you practice it, you can have that. And so that's how it works. And then I'll get the answer, usually after sleeping. I'll wake up with the answer.
Have you checked yourself to see if the depression you feel is being picked up from others? Those of us who are empaths were born that way, and so often we don't realize it.
It's definitely coming from me. The one thing that I also wanted to be aware of is like that I wasn't being attacked by any demonic entities, because that can sometimes happen as well. And you have to set your protection. And so I made sure that that wasn't happening as well. Great.
I found that there is a little info about how to cope with it. The best I've found is Rose Tree. Have you heard of her? Rose
no, but I love rose scented oils. So I use those.
Have you ever been attacked by demons before?
Oh, yeah. The worst was after we went to Area 51. I ended up communicating with different alien species there than I normally would because of my proximity to the energy. And I ended up allowing an entity to get integrated into my energy field, which I should not have allowed. And they kind of tricked me, and they said they didn't know any better, but it ended up leaving a residual exhaustion for 3 weeks.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's not fun.
I haven't published this yet. I haven't even edited it yet, but I had an exorcist on the other day, and he was telling me that you can feel the demons. And he said you just feel like this denseness around you. And sometimes, I guess, out of nowhere, you'll just smell these like really bad, foul smells.
Yeah, like sulfur.
Have you had any of those experiences?
I've been around someone who was possessed. It's quite scary. Yeah, it can be quite scary.
When he was explaining this to me, I mean, it's when he goes out and does this, I mean, sometimes it's downright dangerous. Like,
oh yeah, no, my life was in danger.
I mean, it sounded like they'll grab like a broken something and try to, stab you or kill you or whatever.
Yeah, especially if you're still laughing or you're happy, they will do everything they can to scare you because it scares them if you're not scared, kind of, they need you to be in that same energy, and they need to feel in control. I think there's all kinds of demonic entities that plague us, lightly, medium, heavy. I think a lot of people who drink alcohol get plagued by darker, heavier spirits.
Yeah, it makes sense. What I find interesting is we start talking about entities and we start talking about interdimensional travel. So could it be possible that entities and extraterrestrials are the same or are one? Or
aliens and who?
And in demons or any type of entity in general, you know what I mean?
Yeah, there's all kinds of, we're all entities, right? And yeah, I think you can categorize humanity into different, races or types of people with blonde hair or people with black hair. Just like you could do the same kind of thing. You could pick up on characteristics and group people, but we're all just entities of consciousness, pinpoints of energy that we choose to resonate on whatever frequency we resonate on.
All right, Unicole, before we wrap it up here, do you have one last message that you can share with us?
Join Unicult.
Unicole, thank you so much for being my guest. I really appreciate it. Thank you for having me. Yeah, I really appreciate it. I wish you massive success.
Thank you. It's been such a fun conversation.
Yeah. I look forward to seeing when you get your 1 million subscribers on YouTube and you show your gold plaque.
Thank you.
Yes.
Me too.
All right. Well, thank you and have a great evening.
You too. Goodbye.
Bye-bye. Thanks for watching the JeffMara podcast. I really appreciate you. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. And if you do, there are loyalty badges and other perks depending on your level of membership. All you need to do is click the join button underneath the video to find out more. Thank you for your support.